please clarify for this newbie. Are there 3 bodies or 4? There's the, let me put it this way, Bob. It depends which dimension you're in. Okay, we are in a 3 dimension. We have actually 4 bodies in the 3rd dimension. We have the physical, mental, and emotional. That's part of the body elemental. Elemental means it's an element of the 3rd dimensional realm. Okay, so we have 3 bodies there. However, we also have an etheric body because we started to create so much crap that we could see. You have 3 above bodies. You have your causal body, your Christ body, and your I am presence. Now, your causal body, or your Christ consciousness, it's also called Christ body. Your causal body is where it's like what people call the Akashic records, because they just name it whatever. And nobody really gets what the Akashic records are. But the causal body is like a basic Akashic record for just you. It keeps all the greatness you've ever done in your life recorded there. Okay, but what happens is you aren't supposed to do anything evil. So when we fell into the 3rd dimension, we started filling up our body elemental with crap that we're creating, because now we're not creating righteousness, right? Now we're creating a lot of evil. I'm a piece of crap. Nobody loves me. Where does all that programming go? If it remained in the physical body, you'd be dead in like 5 years, 2 years, depends on some of you. If it remained in the mental body, blah, 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 and if it remained in the emotional body, it would overflow to the physical body anyway and kill you. So what they had to do is create an etheric body. So in the 3rd dimension, we now have a 4th body, the etheric body. The etheric body is equivalent to the causal body. It's a baby Akashic record, but instead of all your greatness, it records all your what? Stupidity, all your satanic stuff, your darkness. So we have an etheric body. That's what I refer to a lot, called the backpack. Remember, I'm always talking about that backpack. You're dragging around a backpack of crap. That's what I refer to that. Now, the 4th dimension, as you start awakening, and that's where the demonics have taken over too. The 4th dimension, the 4th aspect of self, is it started out with your intuitiveness, and that's the spiritual. I don't want to say, he writes spiritual, but I don't want to really say spiritual because that's not exactly, it's the Spirit of God. It's the divine aspect of self. It's the Christ consciousness. Okay, so the 4th dimension, as you start waking up, is becoming aware of your Christ consciousness. The 5th dimension is mastering it. So, do you have 3? Yes, but they're not bodies when you get higher. You're just all Christ consciousness, because this goes away in the higher realms. So, does that explain or make it clear as mud, Bob? Clear as mud, but we'll let it settle in. And if I slip, can I slip into another question? The best way, I'm going to use this. Look at it this way, Bob. Okay, there's your physical body. This is from here down is the 3rd dimensional plane. Okay, that's your physical body. Your physical body has as above, so below. So you have your causal body, which is your basically, I hate to use this term because it's not right, but for people to comprehend, has its Akashic record. That's where you write all your good deeds. You have your I am presence. God self, and then you have your Christ consciousness, sometimes called the Christ body. And then on the lower level, the 3D level, you have the physical, emotional, and mental. And the 3 above was to match the 3 below. However, we started creating crap. Well, crap can't go up there, so it needed a place, and that's where we created the backpack. Now, if you look at this picture, this is it. This is above. This is 3D. This whole section is 3D. And it's very hard to see on this picture, but that's your head, your heart, your body. It does. So that's your body. There's your little legs, little arms, head and heart. So this is the 3D, and you're surrounded by the 7 rays. Then up here, this is your Christ consciousness, your Christ body. And up here is your I am presence. This is the God self. The causal body is included in between these, like right in there. So, do you see how the Christ body, what I always call a step-down transformer, right? I'm always saying it's like a step-down transformer. See how the Christ body is not all the way up here and not all the way down. This is in the 4th dimensional realm. But the demonics have taken that over also. So that's why we're skipping and going straight up. Hope that makes sense. Awesome. And now his next, he wants to slip into another question. I don't know about slipping into it, but you can ask another question. Is it like slipping into jammies? Is there a particular type of music or sound that is more conducive, to spiritual growth? Yes. Everybody get your pens and pencils out. This is the most important thing you're going to write down for the sound that is the most conducive to spiritual growth. Don't forget this. Everybody got it? I'll give you 2 more seconds. Okay. So there's a beautiful sound that will take you right to the Christ light. And it's called silence. The sound of silence. All this other crap that is out there. Oh, listen to binaural beats. First of all, let me tell you a little story about this stuff. I owned a gym back on Long Island. They make different treadmills, different treadmill motors for different weights. When you get on a treadmill, you're walking. Treadmill does more damage to your ankles, your feet, your knees, and your hips because you do not walk at a continuous pace. There's no changing your pace on a treadmill unless you play with the buttons, right? So when you let's say you set yourself up for 5 miles an hour, a little faster, 15 miles an hour, right? Your joints are not meant to do the same thing constantly. It deteriorates it. They're the worst thing that you can do is treadmills. But everybody likes to run on treadmills. Okay. Worst thing you can do. There's the most degenerative knee and hip and ankles you can ever find. Horrible. Motorized. Anything, you are not meant to do the same action continuously. What about, how many people know, and maybe some of you do, this? Ting, 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 $1.25, $2.44. What do they get? Carpal tunnel. The wrist is not meant to do the identical thing over and over and over. The body is not meant to be a robot. Simple terms. When you put these things on and listen to music, these binaural beats, your brain is not meant to have that. It is the most destructive thing you can do to your brain. Repetitive anything is the most destructive thing that you can do. Okay, so I'm trying to make a point here, but peeps, what about long bike rides? If you're riding your own bike, you're doing it at your own pace. I'm talking about motorized things. You are not meant to do motorized motions, continuous motions. You know, when you're riding your bike, your knees start to hurt. You go, crank it down a few gears. So you're not made to do. I used to be a cross-country runner. I used to run the marathon, New York State Marathon. Destroyed my knees and my shins. Repetition is not what we are meant to do. So let's take this one more step further. They tell you we're going to send you a 144, a 2.6, a 4.8 hertz signal. Just hook up to your computer and listen. Ha! BS. Anybody telling you that is full of crap. Your computers are digital. They cap off an analog signal. So you're only listening to a digital signal. You are not a digital being. You are an analog being. So, the best sound to listen to get you into your Christ light, is the sound of silence. Be still and know that I am God. Everything else is a mere distraction. It's a fallacy, it's a fault, it's lies told by the demonic ones to the New Agers, and the New Agers believe it. Now, does actual frequency out of a frequency generator in your house have a difference? Yeah, but do you need it? Not really. Not if you know who you are. Since I have been in PPF these last 3.5 years, you shared on numerous occasions a metaphor, admonition. Admonition of Saint Germain? I don't know about it. Admonition. To put duct tape over your mouth. Is not speaking all what using duct tape is all about? Yes. Or is it the meaning of this metaphor closer to speaking very little, if at all, until one knows truth of self, comprehends dominion, abides in Christ's light, and can be disciplined and intentional with all his or her words? Yes, Grady, you're absolutely right. What Saint Germain has said numerous times, that if we would have shut our mouths and stopped speaking, because the voice is your vehicle to create. It's what gets the frequency, makes the frequency of creation to go out to the substrate so that the substrate can create. And that's how you accept it comes into your creation. So that's why, in the Bible it says, and God spoke, let there be light, and there was light. So yes, but what Saint Germain means is we are too ignorant, too dumbed down, too enveloped in the satanic realm that most of the time when we're speaking darkness. And the more we speak darkness, the more we create darkness in our world, in our dominion. And the more we create it in our dominion, the more denser we become. So, yeah, okay. So we become denser. Now, denser has two meanings. This is what's popping in now. Denser, to be dense, means to be heavy, means to be stuck down. Now, I proved to you at a retreat that gravity doesn't exist. It's density. So the heavier something is, the more it falls. So isn't it ironic that they've got men lifting weights and women lifting weights? When you are in massive muscle, you become very dense. When you are stupid, they're making us, dumbing us down. We become very dense. We are claiming the density, which holds us to the grave, gravity It holds us down. Isn't that ironic? Watch your wording. So that's what he was saying, Grady. He was speaking about if we would have shut our mouths, we would have ascended by now. But we spoke too much stupidity, and we created too much stupidity in our life, and now we're stuck in this world of stupidity. So it was years ago that the members of, we were Serenity Center of Light back then, we came up with the term duct tape, and Saint Germain has used that ever since. I think it was, we had just read something with like 100, remember that there's some saying like 115 uses for duct tape. Well, somebody in the group had yelled at 116, because I had just read something about that. And so that was where we came up with the duct tape. We came up with duct tape, and Saint Germain has used it ever since. So the idea is you only speak to create righteousness. If you can't stand in divinity, shut your mouth. Remember what they used to say? Us old folks have heard it, the new kids have no clue. If you ain't got nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. Right? How many times you've heard that? If you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Shut your face. The old sayings from the 60s, which was when the first, the harmonic convergence was coming, they had the whole flower power movement. They were really good sayings. Think about this one. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. So let's say Grady's saying something crappy to me. It's his creation. It bounces off the rubber and goes back to him. And that's truth. That's how it works. Now, if I choose to accept it, then I become glue. I suck it in. So, yes, Grady, you're 100% right. We should be silent until we know how to create. And then once you are completely disciplined in divine righteousness, then you can speak your words. Or you can focus on what you want to speak. But nobody does that. I shouldn't say nobody. We rattle. Think of this for 1 second, okay? The monks. There are monks that can lay in Tibet, that go up way in the mountains, and they lay in freezing cold snow with no clothes except their little diaper thing on, and they melt the snow around them. And they can lay there for days. No food, no water, nothing. Why? Have you ever seen the Tibetan monks? They don't speak. If you don't speak, you can't misqualify energy. Can we create by thinking? Yes, but not now. Eventually, but not now. Okay, Contessa says you spoke of the Great Pyramid having 8 sides. Would you elaborate on your conclusion that it has these 8 sides? Okay, so this is the best I can show you that I have a pyramid. It's a little bit, not exactly a square pyramid, but can you see that? It has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. See it? It's a little out of shape, but you get the picture. The Great Pyramid of Giza looks like that. The Great Pyramid of Giza looks like that. Pyramid above, pyramid below. There's your 8 sides. This is all underground. You don't see this, you only see this. Now, let me take that one step further. Well, they were completely flat, but they took all the alabaster, which is quartz, off of it. It used to be filled with quartz, and they took all that off. I have a few pieces of that. Okay, so that, looking at one side, this is 2D. I'm only drawing one side. That's one side of the pyramid. You know, and then you would go, you know, that would be the side, another side in the back. Contessa, we good with this so far? So this is one side of the pyramid. This is ground level. We got dirt. We got people walking. Right? That's all you see. So now, let's go back. Contessa, you still with me? I don't know where Contessa is. Let's go back to this. Everybody remember this. So we're doing one side. Remember, this is 2D. Awesome. This is the divine frequency. Sawtooth 144K, 180 out of phase. Duality. So if I take this section away, let's do this. I'm just taking one section of this. There we go. That's one side of the pyramid, see? Then, know what? Then, if you go back to this, hang on, Contessa. If you go back to this, right, and you take it and you use the frequency, there's your Merkaba. Very simple. All right, so Contessa writes only the Great Pyramid has 9 sides. I've been there in person. It does not have 9 sides. I crawled down and they locked me in. I went all the way into the pits. So it has 8 sides. I've climbed into the pits. They locked the doors in there. We had the pyramids for ourselves, the Great Pyramid, all for ourselves. Nobody else was allowed there on 10-10-10. I went with a group of scientists, and I was the one the liaison between the scientists and the spiritual realm. And they tested all kinds of things. We were in the chambers, and then I saw this hole, and I crawled down into the hole, and I went and disappeared. And then they locked the gates with me in there. Prisco was there at the time, and he was yelling at them, "She's down there, you gotta open it up," like, you know. So they unlocked the gates for me to come out. But I must have traveled probably 2 football fields down, the length of them. So I don't know where you get, Contessa, 9 sides. There's only 4. Where's the 9th side? Well, when you get to explain that to me, please do, because the Merkaba is 2 triangles merged. The Merkaba is this. This is the 3rd dimensional Merkaba. There's 4th dimensional Merkabas. It all depends. This is the 3rd dimensional one. 3-sided pyramid, if you will, a 3-sided pyramid, like this, and then another 3-sided pyramid like this. See it? So this is the one pyramid, and this is the 2nd pyramid. However, you take it on the side, it becomes a square. How does that happen? Yes, this is because it's a third dimensional. Fourth dimensional has 4 sides. Fifth dimensional has 5 sides. It keeps going. Who made them? We did. We made the pyramids. You think the pyramids are harder than some of the things I see on the other side? Please. That was when we knew when we were awakened. Wait till see she types. How's this square on the bottom? Very simple. When you do perfect triangles, here's a perfect triangle. It's not a square on the bottom, it's a square on every side. Okay, this is a perfect triangle. And that's the shape it makes when you look at it from there. See? Nothing's changed. You're just looking at it from a different angle. Is that a chip? Oh, good, it's not. I didn't want my platonics to get chipped. See? It's a perfect geometric shape. You can't see it? Now it looks like a duck. Quack, 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 quack. There's your square. This puts holes in my fingers. You don't know how sharp this is. There's one triangle and the other. Let me see if I can hold it differently. My fingers are starting to hurt. So here's one triangle, right? And there's the other triangle. But it's 3-dimensional. It's not flat. See how the one triangle comes through? They cross over. Everything's 3-dimensional. But no matter how you look at it, there's one triangle, there's the other triangle. This represents the feminine aspect, and this represents the male aspect. One triangle, another triangle. They're all in there. One triangle, another triangle. But it makes the square. So Metatron's cube is everything. But the cube, it's satanic. Yes, Beth used to host a panelist, but she writes, is that why geometry is difficult for some? It's very abstract because you have a pea brain and you are taught to see 2-dimensional on paper geometry. You're not taught to see 3-dimensional geometry. Sacred geometry is more than 3rd dimension. When we are getting free of the matrix, will we have physical, like drainage coming from sinuses and lungs? Sinuses and mucus have a lot to do with childhood issues. It's being suffocated when you're a child. So as you're doing that, as you're raising up, you're releasing crap that you've held on to. So that's just everything has to do with the program that you accepted. If you didn't have all that dark programming, you would just be what? Christ-like. There'd be nothing to clear. So when you're going through stuff, it's the releasing of programs that you accepted. And I can tell you a lot of sinuses stuff and lungs, a lot of the lung stuff is about being suffocated. So Sandra, by just knowing you, and it's like you never got to speak your truth. You're like Valerie. Now all you want to do is speak your truth. So that would make sense to me. Does that resonate with you? I love this fun time. Gina writes, some meditations I used to do before being a PPF member had you create a beam from my tailbone down to the earth. Is that all malarkey? Yeah. Oh, Gina, that was, you create, you drop a cord all the way down to the earth and draw up Mother Earth. Is that what you're talking about? I know that one well. Malarkey is an understatement. Malarkey is nothing. You are now, if the earth is the third dimensional realm for Satan, what are you drawing up? And why would you have to draw anything up when you are the light? Oh God, what they put us through is amazing. I can't tell you how many times I did that myself back in the day. And then I used to yell at Saint Germain when I found out what it was about, and I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" Or Yeshua, "Why didn't you tell me that was bad for me to do?" And this is what I got: "You never asked." You don't ask, don't tell. Crossing Dominion. Hi, I'm Leana from PowerPassionFreedom.com. If you liked what you heard, why don't you come and join us on Sundays? We do a whole free question and answer period followed by a meditation. Bring all your questions. All you have to do is go to PowerPassionFreedom.com to register for Sunday. Oh, and don't forget to like us and subscribe to us below because we're always adding new meditations